Howdy and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. As we continue Japanese Airplane Week, we're going to be looking at a UPC kit from the 1960s, the Kawanishi E15K1. It's called a Shiun, S-H-I-U-N. I think that's how you say it, Shiun or Shiun, which means violet cloud. Received the Allied code name of Norm. This is kit number 8007-50. It's in 1/72nd scale. This is a reissue of a Japanese-made kit by Aoshima, originally issued in 1963. So UPC is a company we haven't talked about before. They are somewhat elusive as far as a lot of information. They appear mainly to have just been reboxing other people's stuff. They appear to have been around from approximately 1959 to 1973-ish. UPC stands for Universal Power Master Company. They were based out of Pennsylvania. Initially, it looks like they were reboxing some Adams kits, and then shifted mainly over to reboxing of Japanese-produced kits. So this particular aircraft, the Kawanishi E15K1, started from a 1939 Imperial Japanese Navy request for proposal from Kawanishi specifically for a two-seat high-speed reconnaissance aircraft that would be able to avoid interception and have an 800 nautical mile range. It was designed to work with a new class of cruisers that were intended to be flagships for submarine packs, basically. And the Navy also ordered in 1939 the cruisers that were supposed to fill that role, which were the Oyudo class, O-Y-O-D-O class of cruisers. They were kind of a half cruiser, half seaplane tender, and they were supposed to be the flagship for these packs of submarines, and then the scout planes were supposed to scout out ahead to find targets for the submarines to go after. So the goal was to make a reconnaissance plane that could get out of trouble if need be. So what Kawanishi did was take the largest motor that they had available to them, or was coming online, which was the 1460 horsepower Mitsubishi Kase 14 engine, also known as the Mark 4D, which is a 14-cylinder radial. They put contra-rotating propellers on it, so there's two contra-rotating propellers, both of two blades, kind of an unusual arrangement. First use of contra-rotating propellers for the Japanese. They also equipped it with a laminar flow wing, a jettisonable central float, so if they got in trouble, the central float could be jettisoned. The wingtip floats were supposed to be initially retractable and featured this kind of weird arrangement of there was a bottom planing part on it, and then this top part was an inflatable rubber area, so that would deflate when the float was retracted, leaving just the planing bottom on the surface of the bottom of the wing. So it was about a 300 mile an hour float plane with everything down. If you ejected the central float, it would increase the speed by approximately 50 miles an hour. So first flight from the prototype was 5 December of 1941. 5 additional prototypes were produced from the end of 41 all through 42. There's a lot of problems with the retractable float system, with contra-rotating propeller system, so there was a really long protracted development period on it. But since it was going to be assigned to a ship that was being built, that wasn't that big of an issue. They finally gave up on the retractable outrigger floats and went to fixed ones, and to offset that, they put a more powerful Kasei engine, the 24 on it, to try to offset that. So ended up not losing too much speed by having the fixed floats. They entered into limited production in 43 when they first entered service in April 30th of 1944, with 6 of them assigned to this 12th Recon Squadron out of the 61st Air Flotilla. Ultimately, there was only one ship in that class. The Oyoda was the only cruiser that was ultimately built, and the Kawanishi never served on that ship. So they ended up being sent down to the Palau Islands, and gradually, those 6 aircraft succumbed to. A couple of them were shot down. A couple of them crashed, and then a couple of them gradually trailed their way back towards Japan. So ultimately, production was canceled in February 44, with only 15 produced. So kind of interesting that such a limited production aircraft with such a protracted development would actually even get an Allied code name, that it was known that this plane existed, but it did. And the name Norm that was assigned to it was actually the first name of one of the gentlemen in the British intelligence agency, probably one of the guys that identified the aircraft who it was named after. So let's take a look at the kit. You may notice that this still is plastic wrap, so we're going to be opening this together for the first time. So we've got box art that's unique to the UPC issue of this kit. It looks like it's done by a gentleman by the name of Eidson, E-I-D-S-O-N. Not familiar with who that is, but it's kind of, lovely looking artwork here. It appears to be a watercolor, maybe, possibly gouache. So kind of a nice looking piece of art for the cover. In the corner here, we've got litho and packed in the USA, molded in Japan for UPC Corp. So looks like they got the kits sent over from Japan, and then UPC boxed it here. On the side, we've got images of 2 others. Looks like we got a Toryu and a Lightning. Flight Series 72nd scale, lithoed in the U.S. On this side, we've got a Thunder Chief and a Vigilante. And on the box end, we've got similar art. We've got the kit code 807-50, so this looks like it was a 50-cent kit. And same thing on this side, but here it's kind of wrapped around a little bit. There's the name of the aircraft there. And nothing on the bottom. This is a lithoed hard box. So let's get into this and take a look and see what we got here. All right, using the trusty X-Acto. Let's cut this open. This old style cellophane. Put that aside. And let's smell that 60s air. Okay, so the kit comes bagged, stapled closed bag. So let's open up these staples here. Let's see what we got inside. Oh. There we go. Get the instructions out first. So the instructions are printed on some pretty thin paper here, slightly glossy. And we've got some limited data information about the Norm here, kit number, And looks like stick your pilots inside, put your canopy on, and here's your wings. And it doesn't look like there's anything really being done for the rotation of the propellers separately, so looks like you're just gluing them in place. And here's our floats, main float, wing float. So putting them on the bottom, and then putting on your decals, and it looks like they give you a little stand for it to sit on. So pretty simple. Nothing on the back. Here's our decals. Just simple Japanese markings. These are printed in Japanese, so these are probably made in Japan. Well, in fact, it says made in Japan right there. Let's see what we got inside here for the kit. So as you see with some, quite a few of these early 60s Japanese kits, it's kind of stylized. Real heavy rivets. We've got the exhaust stacks just kind of stuck on the side. Do have an open air scoop, quite a bit of flash around the edges, flash under here, just a push through stabilizer. Nothing as far as interior goes other than some pegs to sit the pilots on. You have one of our wings here. All raised lines, panel lines, and raised and we do, it looks like we do have movable ailerons. That seems to be something pretty popular with a lot of the Japanese kits of this era as well. Here we've got our central float, another wing, upper panel. We've got our lower wing as one piece. Again, same presentation with raised panel lining. A few access spots there. You have engraved lining for the flaps. No indication for the retractable floats. I'm assuming that they are making this as the version with the fixed floats. And our final sprue is some of the smaller parts. So we've got our ailerons on here. No indication of fabric covering, but I'm not sure if there is fabric covering on this. In fact, on the tail, let's look at the tail real quick again. Nothing on that either. Again, I don't know if this was a fabric covered control surfaces or not. And here we've got our propellers. We've got two separate parts for the front and rear prop. And there's your shaft. There's our horizontal stabilizer. It does have indication for trim tabs, it looks like. There's an antenna here. And there's our floats. So there's some ejector pin marks on here, but they appear to be in non-critical places. They're all on the insides. So that's kind of nice. And then we've got this piece for the stand. And then final piece is the canopy. Canopy does have a nice fat ejector pin mark right in the middle there. And the detail, unfortunately, is molded on the inside. So it's going to make it hard for painting the framing on there. But not too bad of a piece. Other than that ejection pin mold. So there you go. So kind of an interesting kit for a very interesting aircraft. And This pretty much was about the only kit for this aircraft. Again, for, you know, as a lot of these kind of more esoteric kits in the 60s, 50s, and 60s. This is the only one for decades until, you know, the 80s, 90s, when some other manufacturers started producing this. So if you wanted to make a norm, this was it. And fortunately, it was produced quite a lot. So if you did want to get one, there's a lot of them out there. As I mentioned before, Aoshima did the first release in '63. They did another issue of a similar artwork sometime in the mid-'60s. Then they did another '60s one with some new artwork. Then you had this UPC one in the '60s with their artwork on it. There was a company called Air Flash, which had new artwork as well in the '60s. Believe that was an importer into Canada. There was another '60s issue by a company called Rico, which used the same artwork as the Air Flash one, and they, I believe, were an importer for the UK. Then Aoshima in the late '60s did a couple new issues with, again, new artwork. Same thing again, the early '70s, a couple new issues of that, some with new artwork again. There's another '70s issue by another Japanese maker called FarPro Japan. Their boxes featured a line drawing as opposed to, you know, color artwork. And then in '84, Aoshima did another reissue utilizing some of the previous artwork. And then in '94, another issue from Aoshima with some revisions of the previous artwork as well. So quite a number of issues of this kit. So you know, again, if you wanted to make one of these, you know, it was out there. And so anyway, that's it for this one. Let us know if you've built this one yourself, if you've had any experience with this, or maybe even some of these other UPC kits. If you've got one sitting on your shelf, you know, as always, take a picture of it, send it in so everyone can see what these things look like when they're built. Well, thanks for watching, and have yourself a great rest of your day.